Every single day, you're presented with a decision. Either you move one step closer to the person you were meant to become, or you remain stuck in the habits that hold you back. Confidence and success are not grand achievements that arrive overnight. They're the outcome of consistent, intentional, and meaningful actions taken every day. Today, I want to walk you through 10 simple yet powerful daily improvements that, if practiced with discipline, will not just elevate your self-confidence, but will multiply your success in ways you never imagined. 1. Begin with clarity every morning before the noise of the world takes over. Ask yourself 2 questions. What matters today? And who do I want to be by the end of it? Clarity isn't just about setting goals. It's about aligning your actions with your values. When your direction is clear, confidence naturally follows. Most people stumble not because they lack potential, but because they start their day aimless. 2. Move your body, shift your mind. A 20-minute workout isn't about fitness. It's about showing up for yourself. When you honor your body, you train your mind to show up even when it's uncomfortable. The discipline you build physically leaks into every area of your life. You can't expect to have a strong presence in a room if you've been neglecting the one vessel you carry everywhere, your body. 3. Speak to yourself with respect. We all have an internal voice. The question is, what is your saying to you? Every day, reprogram your inner dialogue. Replace "I'm not ready" with "I'm learning." Replace "I failed" with "I'm improving." Speak to yourself as you would to someone you care deeply about. Confidence starts when you stop being your own worst critic and start being your strongest supporter. 4. Focus on one deep work block. Multitasking is a myth. Every day, commit to at least 1 hour of uninterrupted focus work. This is where mastery is built. When your mind is engaged, your distractions are removed, and you are deeply present. That focus not only accelerates your results, it teaches you that you are in control of your attention. 5. Celebrate one win. However small, progress is the single greatest motivator. Before you sleep, take a moment to acknowledge one thing you did well. Maybe you made a tough call. Maybe you didn't give up. Maybe you just showed up when you didn't feel like it. That's how confidence is built, not in giant leaps, but in honoring every step. 6. Ask better questions instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of, "Can I do this?" Ask, "What's the first step I can take?" Questions shape mindset, and mindset shapes behavior. Upgrade your questions and you'll upgrade your results. 7. Connect meaningfully with one person. Success is never a solo journey. Reach out to someone every day, not to network, not to impress, but to genuinely connect. Ask how they are. Listen without interrupting. Share a thought that inspired you. Relationships don't grow because of grand gestures, but because of small moments of intentional presence. 8. Teach what you learn. If you learned something today, share it. Teach it to a colleague, a friend, a stranger online. When you teach, you reinforce your understanding. You move from passive consumer to active contributor. The world doesn't need more silent learners. It needs people willing to share what they know. 9. Eliminate one unnecessary input every day. Remove one thing that clutters your mind. It might be an app you check out of habit, a podcast that no longer serves you, or a conversation that drains you. Simplicity creates space for confidence. When you eliminate the noise, your voice becomes clearer. 10. End with gratitude, not performance review. Don't end your day measuring everything you didn't do. That only feeds self-doubt. End your day with a simple moment of gratitude. What did you experience? What made you smile? What lesson did the day offer? This rewires your mind to see life as a gift, not a grind. None of these habits are extraordinary on their own, but when done consistently, they create an extraordinary life. The goal isn't perfection, it's presence. The path isn't speed, it's direction. You won't feel the change after one day. But in 30 days, people will notice something different in you. In 90 days, you'll begin to carry yourself differently. In a year, you won't recognize the person you used to be. Start today, improve a little, keep going, and let the compound interest of daily growth do the rest. 5 keynotes of the speech. Clarity of purpose each morning builds internal alignment and long-term confidence. Physical discipline influences mental discipline. Movement fuels motivation. Positive self-talk and small wins reinforce a confident self-image daily. Deliberate deep work and meaningful human connections accelerate true success. Daily subtraction of distractions and ending with gratitude leads to sustained growth. Clarity of purpose each morning builds internal alignment and long-term confidence. It might seem like a small thing, waking up and asking yourself what truly matters today, but this simple habit has profound effects. Most people begin their day on autopilot. They wake up, grab their phones, check messages, scroll through social media, and immediately enter a reactive state. Their energy is scattered before their feet even touch the ground. In that state, it becomes nearly impossible to feel confident or purposeful because the day is already leading them instead of them leading the day. But clarity is a choice. It doesn't require talent or intelligence. It requires intentionality. And it begins the moment you decide to own your morning. When you take even just 5 minutes to pause and ask yourself, what is the one thing I need to focus on today? You create a filter for your actions. Suddenly, every email, every conversation, and every decision has a framework. You're no longer chasing everything. You're choosing something. That's what alignment looks like. It's when your time, energy, and intentions begin pointing in the same direction. This habit is even more powerful because it builds a bridge between who you are and who you want to become. When you gain clarity about what matters each day, you're not just thinking about tasks. You're anchoring yourself to values. Maybe today what matters is having the courage to speak up in a meeting. Maybe it's being fully present with your child. Maybe it's just finishing something you started. Whatever it is, when you name it, you create accountability to it. It becomes a promise you make to yourself. That promise, when kept, builds trust with the one person who matters most to you. And that's the foundation of real confidence. Confidence isn't bravado. It's not arrogance or loudness. It's quiet certainty, the belief that you are capable of facing the day because your actions are rooted in something meaningful. When your days are full of random, disconnected actions, doubt creeps in. You feel scattered, unsure, and overwhelmed. But when your days begin with clarity, even difficult tasks feel purposeful. Even challenges feel like part of the journey, not interruptions to it. Clarity also removes the pressure to do everything. So many people struggle with confidence not because they lack skill, but because they feel they're constantly falling short of expectations, of deadlines, of goals. But often those expectations were never clearly defined. They were assumed, absorbed, or adopted from someone else. Daily clarity allows you to define success on your own terms. You can say, today success means making progress, not perfection. Or today success means being consistent, even if it's hard. That redefinition is what frees you from comparison and builds a self-driven mindset. Another important part of clarity is reflection. When you start your day with clarity, you're more likely to end your day with insight. You'll be able to ask, did I do what I said I would? What did I learn about myself today? This daily loop creates momentum. Each morning becomes a chance to reset, not just repeat. Each day becomes a chapter in a bigger story, not just a list of random events. This clarity also enhances how others perceive you. People are naturally drawn to those who seem grounded, who know what they want and why they're doing what they're doing. You become more decisive. You communicate better. You carry yourself with more presence. That presence isn't because you're trying to impress anyone. It's because you've already impressed yourself with your own consistency. When you live without clarity, it's easy to drift. Days blur into weeks, and before long, you feel like you've been busy but not productive, active but not aligned. That gap between effort and outcome creates anxiety. But when you bring clarity into each day, you begin to close that gap. You see cause and effect. You notice how small actions accumulate. You feel a sense of control, not over everything, but over what you can influence. And that, more than anything, builds long-term confidence. Because confidence doesn't come from achieving massive success all at once. It comes from becoming the kind of person who knows where they're going and why they're going there. It comes from waking up each morning and leading your life with intention, not reaction. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you've chosen your path and you're walking it with purpose. That kind of clarity doesn't just change your day, it changes your life. Physical discipline influences mental discipline. Movement fuels motivation. What you do with your body each day has a direct and often underestimated impact on how your mind operates. When people talk about confidence or success, they usually focus on mindset, strategy, or talent. Rarely do they start with the body. But the body is not just a vessel you carry through your tasks, it's the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you commit to daily physical movement, even for just 20 minutes, you're doing much more than exercising. You're sending yourself a powerful message, I am in charge of my energy. That one act, getting up and choosing to move, whether it's a walk, a stretch, a workout, or a run, trains your brain to understand that discomfort is not something to avoid, but something to move through. It builds a relationship between effort and reward. Even if you don't feel like it, even if your mind resists, your body acts. And that act creates evidence. It creates proof that you can follow through, that you can show up, that you can take control even when circumstances don't feel ideal. This is how mental discipline is born, not from thoughts, but from consistent physical action. Movement resets your nervous system. It reduces anxiety. It activates the parts of your brain responsible for focus and clarity. When you've pushed yourself physically in the morning, you enter the rest of your day with momentum. You don't need as much external motivation because your internal engine has already been ignited. This is why some of the most successful people in the world swear by early morning workouts. Not because they want six-pack abs, but because it sharpens their discipline and prepares them mentally to tackle complex problems. There's a truth that many people overlook. Your confidence is deeply tied to your physical state. When your body feels strong, your mind mirrors that strength. When you move with intention, you carry yourself differently. You walk into rooms with more certainty. You speak with more clarity. You're less likely to shrink under pressure or second-guess your decisions. Confidence is not a mindset you fake. It's a state you generate through repetition, through effort, through sweat. When you're physically active, you feel alive. That aliveness is contagious. It energizes how you show up in conversations, how you approach challenges, and how you handle setbacks. The beauty of daily movement is that it doesn't have to be complicated or extreme. It's not about punishing your body or chasing aesthetic goals. It's about honoring your body enough to move it consistently. It's about keeping a promise to yourself. That promise becomes a foundation you can lean on when life gets chaotic. When the rest of your day feels uncertain, that 20 or 30 minutes of movement becomes your anchor. It's where you reconnect with your willpower. It's where you remind yourself, if I can do this, I can do more. Over time, this builds resilience. The same discipline it takes to finish a workout translates into the discipline to finish a difficult task at work. The same mindset that pushes through a hard set becomes the mindset that pushes through a hard season in life. Physical discipline becomes a rehearsal space for life's bigger moments. It teaches you how to breathe through discomfort, how to persist when it hurts, and how to focus when your mind wants to quit. You begin to notice a shift, not just in your energy, but in your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who avoids hard things. You see yourself as someone who rises to the challenge, someone who acts with intention. That shift is powerful because your actions shape your identity and your identity shapes your confidence. When you repeatedly act in ways that align with the person you want to become, confidence stops being a theory. It becomes a lived reality. And on the days you don't feel like it, the days when your motivation is low or your schedule is packed, those are the days that matter most. Because discipline is not proven when it's easy, it's proven when it's inconvenient. When you move anyway, when you show up anyway, that's where the real transformation happens. And that transformation doesn't just stay in the gym or on the mat or on the pavement. It shows up in your meetings, your conversations, your decisions. It shapes how you lead, how you think, and how you respond to pressure. Daily movement doesn't just strengthen your muscles, it strengthens your mind. It builds the habit of showing up, of leaning in, of pushing through. It gives you access to a version of yourself that is more energized, more disciplined, and more capable. And that version of you, the one who moves, the one who acts, is the version that leads you to lasting confidence and long-term success. Positive self-talk and small wins reinforce a confident self-image daily. The way you speak to yourself has more influence over your behavior than any external opinion ever will. Most people underestimate the power of internal dialogue. They brush it off as just thoughts or moods, not realizing that these thoughts are quietly building or breaking their identity every single day. When your inner voice constantly criticizes you, doubts you, or mocks your progress, confidence becomes nearly impossible to maintain. But when that same voice shifts, when it becomes encouraging, grounded, and self-aware, it becomes a force that fuels your growth rather than sabotages it. You don't need to be perfect to be proud of yourself. You just need to notice when you show up. And that starts with small wins. Every time you do something hard, something uncomfortable, or something consistent, it matters. The world may not notice, but your mind does. Confidence is built not in the grand moments of achievement, but in the quiet moments of discipline. When you get out of bed on time, when you finish a task you didn't feel like doing, when you resist the urge to quit. These are not just actions. These are self-affirming experiences. They reinforce the idea that you are capable, disciplined, and worthy of self-trust. But here's the truth. Those small wins only reinforce confidence if you acknowledge them. And that's where self-talk comes in. After you act, you must reflect. You must remind yourself, I did that. Even if it's something as small as choosing to stay calm in a situation where you used to react, that's a win. Yet many people skip over these wins. They downplay them. They say, it's not a big deal, or that's just what I'm supposed to do. But if you never let yourself win, if you never allow your mind to feel that sense of progress, how can you expect it to believe in you the next time you're challenged? This is why intentional positive self-talk is not about false praise or delusion. It's about telling yourself the truth that you're making progress, that you're learning, that you're not the same person you were 6 months ago. When you consistently reinforce these truths through words, your brain starts to rewire itself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who trees and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That shift is where real confidence grows. But the inner critic doesn't disappear overnight. Most people have years of conditioning that taught them to be harsh with themselves. Maybe they were told that humility means never acknowledging your success, or that tough love is the only real motivator. But the truth is, you don't bully yourself into greatness. You encourage yourself into it. Just like a great coach doesn't tear down their team after every game, they celebrate the effort, they learn from the mistakes, and they build from there. You must learn to coach yourself the same way. Daily positive self-talk also keeps you grounded when things go wrong. When you fail, when you mess up, when you fall short, it's your inner voice that determines whether you spiral into self-doubt or stand back up. A constructive internal voice says, this didn't go how I wanted, but I'm proud I tried. I'll learn and get better. That voice isn't soft, it's resilient. It teaches you to see setbacks as part of the process, not evidence of inadequacy. And when that becomes your default response, your confidence becomes nearly unshakable. The beauty of this practice is that it's available every day. No matter your job, your background, or your circumstances, you can wake up and decide to notice your wins. You can choose to speak to yourself with respect. You can say, today I'll show up for myself. I'll notice the effort. I'll speak kindly when I fall short. I'll praise myself when I follow through. These small, consistent choices shape your identity. They reshape how you see yourself. And how you see yourself determines how you show up in the world. When you string enough of these small wins together, and when you pair them with words that affirm your growth, you build a powerful foundation. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to expect yourself to succeed. You start to carry an internal certainty that no amount of external doubt can shake. Because you've trained your mind through action and affirmation to believe in your worth and your capability. And that is what turns ordinary days into extraordinary transformation. One small win at a time, one kind word at a time, one shift in identity at a time. Deliberate deep work and meaningful human connections accelerate true success. In a world filled with constant noise and endless distractions, our attention has become one of the most valuable assets we possess. Yet most people give it away without even realizing it. They move from one task to another, constantly multitasking, reacting to notifications, responding to shallow conversations, and trying to keep up with a pace that never seems to slow down. But real progress, real success doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being deeply focused. It comes from engaging in work that matters and connecting with people in a way that is intentional, not transactional. Deep work is the antidote to distraction. It is the practice of carving out time for the kind of focused, uninterrupted effort that leads to real breakthroughs. Whether you're writing, designing, planning, building, or learning, the moments when you are fully immersed in the task are the moments that shape your competence, your reputation, and ultimately your results. This level of focus requires discipline. It means turning off the noise, setting boundaries, and choosing to prioritize quality over quantity. And every time you do it, you strengthen your ability to concentrate, your creative thinking, and your problem-solving capacity. But deep work is not just about what you produce. It's about who you become. When you immerse yourself in meaningful tasks without distraction, you begin to build trust with yourself. You start to realize that you're capable of far more than you believed. That sense of mastery, that experience of flow, becomes addictive in the best possible way. It becomes a source of intrinsic motivation. You no longer need constant praise or approval because you've learned how to find fulfillment in the work itself. That internal drive is what separates those who achieve sustainable success from those who burn out chasing validation. Alongside deep work, there is another dimension that cannot be ignored: meaningful connection with others. Success is not a solo pursuit. It is built on relationships, on the trust, collaboration, and support that come from human connection. In a world where surface-level interactions dominate, choosing to go deeper in your relationships is a differentiator. It means truly listening when someone speaks. It means being present, not just physically, but emotionally. It means caring enough to understand someone's values, struggles, and aspirations. And that kind of connection doesn't just enrich your personal life. It strengthens your professional foundation. People often think that success is about strategy, execution, and timing. And while those things matter, it is the quality of your relationships that determines how far you go. A single conversation can open a door that 100 cold emails never will. A moment of shared trust can build a partnership that transforms your career. A simple act of kindness can earn loyalty that no amount of money can buy. When you focus on connecting meaningfully with others, you build a network that is not just functional, but human. And people want to work with, support, and follow those who see them as more than a means to an end. There's also a deeper benefit to meaningful connection. It keeps you grounded. No matter how successful you become, you're still human. You still need to be seen, heard, and understood. Deep connections remind you that you are not alone in your challenges. They give you perspective when your vision gets clouded. They offer encouragement when your confidence fades. And perhaps most importantly, they hold you accountable to your values when the pressure to compromise becomes strong. The synergy between deep work and deep connection is where real momentum happens. When you focus fully on your work and then step back to engage fully with others, you create a powerful rhythm. You build excellence in solitude and wisdom in community. You produce work that is not just efficient, but meaningful. And you form bonds that are not just useful, but deeply rewarding. This balance creates a kind of success that is not just measurable, but fulfilling. It's the kind of success that doesn't just look good from the outside, but feels good from the inside. And it all starts with choosing to be intentional about how you work and about how you connect. Daily subtraction of distractions and ending with gratitude leads to sustained growth. In a world designed to pull your attention in every direction, the ability to subtract, to simplify is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Most people try to grow by doing more. They add new habits, new strategies, new tools, constantly seeking the next breakthrough. But what if the breakthrough isn't in the addition, but in the elimination? What if your greatest clarity, energy, and success lie not in what you do more of, but in what you choose to remove? Distraction is subtle. It often disguises itself as productivity, the unnecessary meeting, the endless scrolling, the multitasking that feels efficient but quietly robs you of depth. When your mind is cluttered with noise, digital, emotional, or environmental, it becomes nearly impossible to focus on what truly matters. Growth stalls not because you're not capable, but because you're mentally scattered. Your energy is being drained by things that aren't aligned with your purpose. Subtracting distractions is about reclaiming that energy. It's about creating space for your best thinking, your best decisions, and your best self to show up. Subtraction requires awareness. You must be honest with yourself about what is truly helping you and what is quietly holding you back. It might be the habit of checking your phone every few minutes. It might be the fear of missing out that keeps you saying yes to things that don't serve your growth. It might even be a relationship that no longer adds value, but you're afraid to let go. Whatever the case, Subtraction is not about loss, it's about choosing depth over noise. Focus over frenzy and presence over distraction. The more you remove the non-essential, the more room you create for intentional action. When your day isn't filled with useless inputs, your output becomes sharper. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You no longer live in reaction mode, constantly adjusting to whatever demands your attention. Instead, you lead your day, you direct your focus like a spotlight rather than diffusing it like a flashlight. That shift in mental discipline transforms how you approach your goals. You begin to operate from a place of clarity, not chaos. But subtraction alone is not enough. Once the day winds down, there is another practice that seals the growth you've built, ending with gratitude. The way you finish your day has a profound impact on how you experience your life. Most people lie in bed replaying their mistakes, their shortcomings, the things they didn't get done. They unconsciously train their minds to focus on lack. Over time, this creates a mindset of inadequacy, even if they're making real progress. Gratitude disrupts that cycle. It gently shifts your focus to what went right, to what you experienced, to what you can appreciate, even in the smallest form. Gratitude isn't about ignoring your problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about honoring the parts of your day that held meaning. It's about noticing the small victories you might otherwise overlook. Maybe you had a tough conversation and handled it with grace. Maybe someone showed you unexpected kindness. Maybe you simply followed through on a promise you made to yourself. Those moments matter. And when you take the time to reflect on them, you reinforce the narrative that you are growing, that you are evolving, and that your effort is not wasted. Ending with gratitude also puts your mind into a state of peace. It quiets the internal noise. It allows you to sleep with a sense of completion rather than anxiety. And that restful closure prepares you to begin the next day with purpose. Gratitude becomes a soft landing at the end of every day. And that consistent landing becomes a launchpad for greater resilience, optimism, and mental strength. Subtraction and gratitude form a powerful cycle. You remove what doesn't serve you, honor what does. You create mental space, then fill it with perspective. That rhythm practiced daily becomes a habit that compounds over time. It sharpens your focus. It lifts your mood. It fuels your motivation. And more than anything, it keeps you grounded. Growth doesn't have to feel overwhelming. It can be subtle, simple, and steady. You just need to subtract the noise and remember the good. That's how you build momentum without burning out. That's how sustained progress is made, one clear, grateful day at a time. The path to confidence and success isn't paved with dramatic moments or grand achievements. It's built quietly, steadily, and intentionally through the choices you make every single day. When you begin your mornings with clarity, move your body to train your mind, speak to yourself with respect, focus deeply on what matters, connect with others meaningfully, and subtract distractions while ending each day with gratitude, you stop living on autopilot and start leading yourself with purpose. These daily improvements are not hacks or shortcuts. They are disciplines. They are investments in your future identity. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn moment by moment through consistent action. And success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about becoming the kind of person who grows, contributes, and leads with intention every step of the way. Let the compounding effect of these small but powerful choices become the foundation of the life you're truly capable of building. The change doesn't start tomorrow. It starts today with one simple decision to grow on purpose.